Good afternoon, everybody. And Robin and Mark, thank you so much for being here today. We are having our first live AMA for a little while now. We had a bit of a break from doing these sessions over the July and August summer period, but that's fine because we're coming back. And I think with even more exciting news and a lot that's been going on in this time. We've got some great things that we're going to be talking about today. But before we jump into everything, Robin, you recently attended the Berlin Blockchain Week, and I'd love to just give everyone a little bit of insight into how that was and what happened during the Blockchain Week whilst you were there.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a fascinating event. It's been a long while. So like since I was in Berlin for such an event, I think the last time was in 2019. So actually, I met people there who also told me, yeah, the last time we were here was in 2019. So interesting. But yeah, the market in crypto generally took a bit of a downturn recently, but there was nothing that really reflected that in Berlin. So like the people were very enthusiastic. Lots of projects that they're building. I mean, I spent basically 5 days, 50 hours of networking. So like this was really awesome for me. I didn't catch too many talks, unfortunately, but I met so many great people from like developers to projects to VCs to ecosystem facilitators. Like everybody was there. It was really awesome catching up with people I met for the first time, but know them for years in the digital world. So like, yeah, big surprise, or not really surprises, but like the real life, enthusiasm then it is always bigger, and you can at least hug or like shake hands for the first time. That's really awesome. And yeah, so like going forward from this, there's now lots of leads, lots of new technological inputs, how to improve our products, where things could be going, what we can implement in the future. But also, yeah, for example, reconnecting to Ocean Protocol, talking with Bruce again in real life, and discussing, like where Ocean is, like where things are going. This was a day about DE data. So like even Edward Snowden was talking on a panel there, discussing his vision of a future of the data economy, how people could have an identity just by interacting with protocols on the blockchain. Like showing that they are trustworthy actors without having to give up their identity, so that you can have independent trust without like knowing where the person sits, what gender they have, or yeah. So like in general, like so many impulses, and the week then ended up with like refi events, about regenerative finance, and going in a little bit deeper into how this connects with what we are doing. Yeah. So overall, great experience. Awesome to have now so many new contacts. Looking forward to the next events.
It is awesome though, just to be able to actually get back out and to be with people, right? It's been so long that it's become sort of the norm to go to a virtual attending events, or just having virtual meetings with people and being online constantly behind a screen. But I imagine it was very nice anyway, but also quite tiring.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. Like you come out of a session and you see somebody standing there. Oh, maybe I know this face. In the end, it turns out to be the CEO of a company that like that you're actually working with, and it's just like then talking with them, and later turning, oh, you are this person. Well, oh, that's awesome, cool. Yeah, that's really nice.
Well, putting some faces to names finally is probably a good way of looking at it as well. We've been busy. Let's be completely honest. There has been lots going on. And over the last couple of months, although we haven't done a live AMA, we've actually been working with quite a few different startups that are now using our technology and our infrastructure. And I thought today would be a really good way of actually talking a little bit about some of these projects. So, Robin, we're probably going to come to you quite a bit for the technological side of things, as usual. But I thought maybe we could start with a little bit of an update, just how many projects are currently using our tech stack, what they're currently using, and then maybe we can go into some details of some of the particular projects that we can then showcase a little bit about what they're doing.
Should I give you the overview? Yeah, so like, I mean, there's like 3 projects that we currently work on, basically on an ongoing basis with them, that are using our tech stack. So the project's called nCight, Brainstem.Health, and WeDataNation. So they have a little bit different focus and are using our technology with different goals in a way, or like different processes. But the good thing for us is that we basically still have a unified core of the technology that is used by all of them. So that's really helpful for us. And also, of course, we get a good amount of learnings from these early adopters. Yeah.
And if we go into maybe one of those in particular, so let's talk a little bit about nCight, just so for anyone who hasn't actually heard of the project. Can you explain a little bit about what they're trying to do and how our tech stack actually helps with that?
Yeah, so the idea is here that physicians from the US are operating patients and putting in prosthetics. And so like why they're doing that, of course, they're operating inside the body. So like they're also using cameras to take pictures of the situation and of the whole procedure. And these images are then getting shared into a data union where then other physicians are then annotating, labeling, and basically verifying the information that is in these images. And the end goal is to train an algorithm to do this automatically, but also to track what happens with the prosthetics, where they're getting used, and like how are things going with them. And basically, the customer who's interested in this is actually the manufacturing companies who make these prosthetics. They want to know what's going on with their prosthetics because they know that there's no need for somebody who buys them to also give them this information. So that's actually what they're doing. So in a way, our mobile app and our backend is then used for uploading the data, for verifying the data, for engaging with the physician community that is then actually doing the work. And basically now we can then measure how much they did, how much impact this had, how well they're doing, and then give them back rewards according to this. And yeah, we're right now in the next phase where we basically are working on different modes of how different engagement strategies work with the physicians, what makes them motivated, what is interesting to them. So yeah, this is basically all of our components are there except our data portal. So like in this case, the connection to the prosthetics companies is handled by the product differently, but that's also all right from my point of view.
And that is just one example, right? And it's quite a specific example in terms of how that's used by physicians, the prosthetics company, and how that can come together for something that is so niche. Maybe if we look at one of the other examples of the projects that we're working with, so something like WeDataNation. So could you give a little bit of an introduction as to what WeDataNation are trying to do? And again, how it is that our technology allows them to actually take their project forward?
Yeah, so WeDataNation is around personal data by individual users. So basically, marketing companies are very much interested in getting doing surveys around what people do on different social media platforms or different with their profiles on different platforms. And because of GDPR, now every platform has a download button where you can download your information that you have produced on the platform. So that's the data that WeDataNation is going for, basically allowing users to systematically download this information, upload it into a data union through a mobile app, and basically then also offering, having the choice whether they want to monetize this data or not. So like that basically then also allows to create a much richer profile about this user. So for example, you can also connect the Web3 wallet or then platforms like Facebook, Amazon, all of this data basically is your data. Now you're downloading it and putting it for good use by uploading it into a data union. In this, it's very important, of course, that this data will never be offered for copy or anything. So like it only is analyzed with computer data, with trusted analysis algorithms. But in a way, now you have a very rich profile of the user, So like I cannot go and ask Amazon, hey, can you give me, like these profiles of a user, and then go to Google and say, like, I want for this user, for exactly this user, can you identify them in your database? I want to also have that data, and then you go to the next platform, the next one. So like it's basically impossible to get access to the data that is structured like this and so rich in any other way from my point of view. And so like that's basically what WeDataNation is enabling. So like it's kind of a vampire attack onto Web 2. Like all the platforms are legally obliged to give this opportunity. So like now the users have the opportunity to leverage this for themselves, and WeDataNation makes that possible. So yeah, basically in the future, we will also then have features where then the user can then vote on what should be the next steps. So like a snapshot voting inside the application. There's a really cool feature that WeDataNation is also teasing right now already, which is around personal avatars. So basically the data that you upload from the different platforms is then used to categorize you in many different ways. But this is then fed into a generative art algorithm to create an avatar for you. So like that's then your personal avatar. It's different from one that somebody else creates because they have a different data profile. So like that's I think really cool. It's then a profile picture that you can use for yourself, which is unique to yourself. So like that, I think that's a really good angle. So then you get something out of having the data and uploading the data directly. So like it's not just about monetary value, but also to generate insights for yourself, how you relate to the rest of the population, and gets a nice avatar on top of it. And basically, yeah, which technology are they using? They are using our mobile app, of course. This is the basis where the users are interacting with the platform. Then our backend to store the data. And in the next step, then we will also have a data portal for them, where then potential buyers can basically select data in an indirect fashion. So like they can't see your profile or something if you upload it, but they can get to know, okay, like for certain criteria, they are looking for this and this and this engagement on some platform. So like one example would be like, who bought Nike shoes on Amazon for at least $500 in the last year, has the Nike NFT, and is also in a certain demographic. So like then they can find out, okay, is this a larger group of people? Like what are their characteristics? They can then use this information to also connect to these users. So like it gives them a great database, but like over multiple platforms at the same time, so which would not be possible otherwise.
Thank you. That's a very detailed kind of insight into that. But I
Sorry.
think no, not at all. I think there's probably two things that lots of people heard in that they might think, hang on a second, what's that about? And I will actually pick up on these just so that we can give people a little bit more insight. But you mentioned about the idea of a vampire attack. And for most people, when they hear the word attack, it can sound quite bad. But what you're actually talking about there is the ability to transfer data from a Web 2, where it's very much helping the big four, the big corporations, a subject that has been talked about way too often on too many channels. We don't need to go into it too much today. But you also talked a little bit about how actually that could be monetized but shared with the people whose data it actually is. So could you explain a little bit more about what a vampire attack is and how we're actually meaning it in this sense? And then also what that potential value could actually be?
So vampire attack in this sense means that basically we can now use what somebody else did already, like for the benefit of the data union, but also most importantly for the benefit of the user. Like this download option has been there for many years. Like now there's actually, other than you wanting to inspect how much they know about you, there's also now the benefit that you can use this route and channel it into a new organization. And the big benefit for WeDataNation and the data union is they don't, like otherwise you would have to make such a platform around all of these products, right? So like Twitter has a product, Facebook has a product, Amazon has products, you're using this for good reason. I mean, it's convenient, you have your benefits out of it. But the vampire part about this is basically saying like, well, you guys built this infrastructure and now we can get like the data, which is basically what you guys are using for monetizing yourself. We can now get this basically in a very easy and convenient manner because of the legal situation. And so like that's kind of the vampire attack, like you're basically draining the blood in this way. It's the data, like out of these platforms. It's not like they don't retain it. I mean, that's the benefit of data, right? You can have it for many different purposes at the same time. But the big benefit for the users and WeDataNation is that this is actually possible. And so, yeah. And here, then the benefit is like, okay, like how is the monetization happening? So like if there's then a certain threshold of users that are using the platform, then this data actually becomes very valuable. So like theoretically, if somebody would buy access to the data on each of these platforms individually, like this also comes up to probably a larger amount of money than if they go to WeDataNation directly and access the data of the users with their consent. Then the price can be probably a little bit lower. So like there can also be an undercut on the prices. And basically then it becomes attractive for companies to directly pay the users for the data, which is actually what we are going for with this new data economy. And then, yeah, we basically the user together with the critical mass, they're generating then the data that becomes so interesting to these companies that they're willing to pay them instead of the platforms. And so then the money in the end ends up in the hands of the users and the individuals instead of the large corporations and the shareholders of the large corporations.
So we had two very, very unique examples. One, I think that most people probably can get behind what they've heard about before in terms of that social media data and things like that. We've obviously looked at something super niche. So for prosthetics, physicians working on imagery that is very, very unique in its own way as well. And then I think we come to our third example that we're going to talk about today as well, which is Brainstem.Health. So this is another project that, again, is doing something completely different, but still can use our technology stack and still has the ability to find ways to benefit from that collaborative approach to data. So could you tell us a little bit about Brainstem.Health, what they're doing, and also how they're using our tech stack?
Sure. So like Brainstem.Health is in the business of tracking users' personal health. So like they are working on a physical device that will be available soon. And basically that's a tracker for your heartbeat at the moment, but in the future there will also be, of course, other sensors. And that's basically a device that they are creating, so they have access to the functionality and the data itself. So like other tracking devices give you a hard time to get actually real access to the data. So like that's one thing that they're solving. On the other hand, they then connect this with a mobile app, which in this case they then created themselves using our backend. So like here we have a differentiation to the other projects. Here the mobile app is not produced by us, but by them. But then they are also now able to use our authentication mechanism, a wallet inside the mobile app to integrate with our backend. And so the goal is basically to pool the data together, to pool especially also your own data, and then to generate diagnostics, for example, or like information services that can automatically inform you about things that are happening with your health. But then on the other hand, going forward, there are also other ideas of maybe then being able to ask practitioners to connect to a certain part of your data, like to give you some insights into this. But overall, the goal is here also then to bring the data of many individuals, the health data together, and give them some insights into, like what is going on with yourself. But in the larger scheme, then also being able to give a data buyer the opportunity to analyze this data, but then in a privacy preserving manner, where then here the receipts out of this deal will then flow back largely to the individuals that are contributing.
So thank you so much, Robin. I think, again, it's clear to see that there's probably actually a huge spectrum of types of projects, different ways that this can be used, and our technology stack especially can help to facilitate what we like to call a new data economy, right? But I think before we go into talking a little bit about how else this could work or who else it could work for, I was wondering, Mark, if you'd be okay telling us a little bit about what we've been doing recently with Pollinations. And we have some more information coming out soon around this, but there's generative art, because I think Robin's also mentioned how this connects potentially to a data NFT for certain use cases, like, for example, a new profile picture. But can you talk a little bit about generative art from the point of view of Pollinations and what we're currently doing at the moment?
Yeah, sure. And Pollination is a great partner that we got in touch and collaborating with. They discovered and taking the new algorithms for generative art on a new level. It's about art, but it's also about in the future generating 3D objects for the metaverse, for instance. And so very exciting. And we started connecting their capabilities into our Discord channel, which I think is a very exciting new way of interacting with a platform. So it's not just going on the website and working there, but really engaging where the discussion is happening, or sometimes even out of a discussion, generating a piece of art. So a very experimental, exploratory way that is great fun to see what comes out of the art. But it's also helping to be part of a much larger discussion around AI and generative art. So one generative art AI actually won a prize in the US, which of course triggers the question, who was the author and not? And that links very interestingly back to all our questions that we have. who was now part of that creation? Was it just the AI, or maybe the one writing the code, the people contributing the data, or the artist bringing that together? And so there we're exactly in the middle of a DataUnion discussion, which forms also the base of our partnership with Pollinations, to explore multiple ways how the union approach can help them in generating the art, but also how you distribute the value that comes out of it to artist communities and so on. So very exciting, and well, it's just a starting point. Robin mentioned also that already the projects among each other collaborate, and that's great to see. There's so much to gain.
Fantastic. I couldn't have said it better myself. And also, for anyone who is watching this, you can also join our Discord channel. And Pollinations have organized a couple of really cool bots in some of our channels. So you'll find, I think we've got 5 channels where you can actually test the generative art by giving it different cues and seeing what the responses will be. I won't lie, I find it quite fun. Some of the requests that I won't mention any names Robin has put in have really made me chuckle watching what generative art puts back out. But we do recommend everyone goes in and has a look. It is really worth a try if you've never tried that before. So we're going to move on to a very big topic today, and this is kind of big news for us, and it's just the first time that we will be talking about this, but it definitely isn't the last time. Robin, would you like to give people a small introduction to the Together protocol and what has now become a foundational piece of technology that we really have been working on and that really helps bring together all this collaborative and all these different projects that are currently building using our tech?
Yeah, so we have been working on the technology I've been talking about that the other projects are already using. But one piece was the missing is like how is this all of this data and this whole process getting facilitated on the blockchain? So like how are we going to manifest, like what has happened in this data economy in a way that it can be used practically later, and that's where we are introducing now the Together protocol. So like that's basically a way to get from like I need certain data for this and this purpose into like, okay, now the whole world can start contributing to, or like whoever is capable to do that, contribute to this data and make sure that this data then is also in a proper shape, that it's clear how it's structured, that it's clear how are going to be future receipts or like revenue out of this data, how are they going to get distributed, and bringing it basically in an organized way into the Web3 world. So like it's kind of an Oracle data processing protocol. So like the thing is not just to find static data in the world and like align on how this static data looks like, but to make sure that we can have a process around, okay, there is some data. Now we have some other people look at the data and check out that they verify that it's correct, and then bring this data into the data economy. So like examples here, like in each of the cases I was telling about before, basically the Together protocol will be used to facilitate in an organized way that the data is getting collected, and that the data, that each of the steps that are necessary for these projects to work with the data is actually kept. And so like then in the end we can manifest the different packages of these data, so like in certain amounts on the blockchain. So like then we also have a provenance, what happened to the data, who was involved, which wallets, which users were in there. And basically this opens up a lot of opportunities. So we have like also examples in our pitch deck and so on, which we will probably share at some point. But yeah, so like this is basically the protocol that connects our technology stack with the blockchain, and we are planning to do this in a layer 3 way. So like basically supporting any kind of blockchains, but at the moment we will start probably with EVM compatible ones, because yeah, that's more straightforward to write the smart contracts in Solidity. But we're now also using our simulation and our adjusted token spice version to then simulate the whole protocol. Yeah, so that's basically the thing that we are also now starting to fundraise for, which is also an important topic for us. But yeah, it's a new protocol. It's kind of what we learned, like in the 2 years that we now working on DataUnion. It's our learnings basically from talking to the projects, from seeing what we estimate to be necessary in the future. So if you look at it a little bit from a different angle, there's like basically templates. So like how data is going to be structured, which processes are necessary to make this data work and make it reliable and give it a reputation. And then there's the opportunity that people can take these templates and actually bring in data into this data economy. And after it's going through, it's all registered on the Together protocol. Basically, it can then be used with all of our technology stack to be found, to actively be used, and to then also, if it produces value, to feedback to the people who have been contributing. So yeah.
I think that gives people more than just a simple introduction to it. But we are getting very excited about being able to share more about this. And I have just posted a link in the chat here down below where you can join us into our Discord community. We will be sharing a lot more information about the Together protocol over the coming days, weeks, months, and we'd love you to be part of that journey. So please do check that out. And again, you can also have a play with the generative art that we've mentioned. Before we wrap up, I think one of the key things as well, and maybe Mark, you could speak a little bit to this as well, is this really, we want to make these sessions an invitation, and we want to bring more people, more projects in. But I think it'd be great to hear a little bit about from you what sort of people we're looking for, what sort of projects we're looking to work with, and how we can help support them.
Yeah, certainly. As we've seen from the projects, there are different types with different challenges, but they're all connected that you have datapreneurs. You have people who want to embrace the new data economy. They want to build an economic layer. They want to build or rebuild the data sovereignty for their users. And so we're looking for those kind of people who have that approach and looking for the support from especially the technical side to basically accelerate their ideas and projects. That is the main starting point. As we have seen, the data challenges are similar in the different industries. So whether you are in sustainability and looking for reporting challenges on sustainable development goals, or whether you are in IoT, in the Internet of Things in the industry, or in health, the data management challenges, gaining a provenance, registering the processes, sharing the value, they're very similar, and we're very happy to support them and learn from each other in the joint ecosystem. And I think, Chris, that is also the idea, the learning from each other and connecting here. That is an opportunity here in an open but also facilitated way to accelerate your own journey.
I think that's fantastic. And guys, I won't keep anyone for too much longer. We've given all the updates that we really wanted to talk about. But like you mentioned there, Mark, I think one of the key things here is that actually we are creating a complete ecosystem, for lack of a better word. But most importantly, it's bringing people together. So these projects, like you said, are in various different industries and different niches, but actually the concepts and the principles around their data and around how they can use Web3 technology to better enhance that data, I think is giving huge amounts of ideas, and each of the projects has the ability to learn and interact with each other. And I think that's what's really creating a powerful ecosystem as it kind of snowballs and it grows. So really do get in touch. You can reach out to us anywhere, either on the website at DataUnion.app, or you'll find us on Twitter, or again, even if you're watching this video, drop us a link or a comment underneath and we will be happy to get in touch with you. Guys, that's it from me, I think. And I think unless you guys have anything else in particular that you want to talk about, I think we can probably wrap this up.
Very good. Yeah, it was exciting summer and more exciting autumn to come. Yeah? Looking forward to meet everyone with good ideas.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much for watching this and see you next time.
Yeah.